Space isn't the most terrifying part of Dead Space. It's the quiet moments, the empty hallways, the flicker of a light when you are alone, the split seconds where Isaac Clarke isn't fighting Necromorphs, he's fighting himself. When I replayed Dead Space Remake, something hit me. Isaac's journey isn't just sci-fi survival horror. It's a mental health story within a space disaster narrative. This isn't a story about a soldier. It's about an engineer, someone who never planned for violence, suddenly shoved into a nightmare he can't escape, and forced to survive while his own mind plays tricks on him. And that's what makes Dead Space feel uncomfortably close to real life, because we all have our own Ishimuras, places we never wanted to end up, situations we had no training for, and mental battles no one told us we'd have to fight. So in this video, we are breaking down the lessons Isaac Clarke teaches us about mental toughness, survival, creativity, and growth. Even in absolute darkness of Dead Space, these aren't just gaming insights, they are tools you can carry into real life. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel for more video game life inspirations. Let's step into the darkness of Ishimura, headlamp on, plasma cutter ready, and into the mind of a man who didn't just survive darkness, but learned from it. Rule number 1. Trust your ability to learn on the job. Isaac Clarke never signed up to be a hero. He never expected to be slicing limbs off mutated corpses or repairing spacecraft systems under the threat of horrifying death. He came to the Ishimura to fix machinery, find answers, and maybe save the woman he loves. But from the moment the first Necromorph charges him, everything changes. No training, no preparation, just the instinct to survive and the willingness to try something he's never done before. When Hammond later tells him,
I need you to handle that nuke right away, before something sets it off.
Handle 12 megatons? You know I'm not a nuclear engineer, right?
I don't need you to be. Just stabilize the warhead and eject it away from the Ishimura.
Christ, Hammond.
No one trained you to carve up monsters with a plasma cutter either. You haven't let us down yet.
Isaac has already proven something important. We don't learn because we are ready. We learn because we have to. And even during his breakdowns, when he whispers,
I just don't know what to believe anymore.
It's okay, Isaac. You'll know what to do.
somewhere deep down, he knows it too. Later, when someone tells him,
But the planet won't rest until the marker is returned. You can't leave.
Watch me.
he's not confident, he's committed. And commitment is what sparks rapid learning, long before confidence ever arrives. Life doesn't wait until you feel prepared. It drags you into situations you didn't ask for, demands skills you've never practiced, and expects you to perform under pressure anyway. That's the moment most people freeze. But Isaac teaches us something different. The ability to learn quickly isn't something you are born with. It's something you unlock when you stop expecting certainty and start embracing movement. At the beginning of any new chapter, new job, new skill, new responsibility, the brain screams that you are unqualified. That fear isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are crossing the threshold into growth. The truth is, learning doesn't flourish in comfort. It thrives in the unknown, where mistakes happen fast and lessons hit harder than textbooks ever could. Isaac doesn't master the plasma cutter because he studied an engineering degree. He masters it because survival forces him to act, adjust, improve, and repeat. Your own growth follows the same pattern. You don't become capable and then take action. You take action first, and capability follows as a byproduct. Most people underestimate how quickly they can adapt when a situation doesn't give them time to overthink. When Isaac says, "Watch me," he isn't showing swagger. He's stepping into the identity of someone who figures things out as he goes. That identity is far more powerful than talent. Trusting the process isn't optimism, it's realism. It's understanding that nearly everything you respect about the people you admire, skill, discipline, confidence, was built while they were stumbling through uncertainty. Learning on the job is messy, it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable, but it's also the most direct path to mastery you'll ever take. When in doubt, move first. Understanding comes after. Rule number 2. The true battle is with your inner demon. The Ishimura is full of nightmares, shrieking creatures, twitching shadows, blood-slick corridors. But the scariest threat Isaac faces is the one inside his head. Grief, hallucinations, exhaustion, the crushing responsibility to fix everything. They pile onto him until it becomes hard to tell reality from illusion. There's a moment where his voice trembles through the static.
I don't know. If I don't focus, we'll run out of air before it matters.
It sounds like he's talking about oxygen, but maybe he isn't. He's talking about losing himself, about drowning mentally, long before a monster touches him. He sees Nicole where she shouldn't be. He hears voices that can't exist. The marker twists his thoughts until every step forward becomes a battle against his own brain. Noise, confusion, guilt, panic. All of it claws at him harder than any necromorph. Yet Isaac keeps pulling himself back. He breathes, he refocuses. He grounds himself to physical reality. The tools in his hand, the console in front of him, the objective that needs doing now. The monsters can kill his body, but losing his mind will kill everything else. The greatest battles you face won't come from external chaos. They'll come from the voice that whispers in your mind when you're overwhelmed, anxious, or exhausted. The voice that tells you you're failing, that you're not good enough, that you're falling behind, that the problem is too big and you're too small. Isaac's journey is a masterclass in mental survival because he shows that the difference between spiraling and staying grounded often comes down to focus. When panic hits, the mind expands in every direction. It imagines worst-case scenarios, rewrites your insecurities as facts, and magnifies fear until it feels like reality. But survival requires the opposite, shrinking your attention to what's immediately in front of you. Notice what Isaac does when he's on the edge of losing control. He chooses the next step, not the entire map. He doesn't try to fix the whole ship. He repairs one panel, he clears one room, he stabilizes one system, and each small win reinforces clarity. Clarity is the oxygen for the mind. Your own inner necromorphs, fear, doubt, guilt, obsessive thought, aren't signs of weakness. They are signs that you're under pressure. But pressure is where resilience is forged. Every time you pull yourself back from a spiral, even clumsily, you strengthen the part of you that knows how to stay calm when things fall apart. You don't defeat inner demons by overpowering them. You defeat them by refusing to get swept away in their story, by grounding in the present moment, by choosing one actionable step, by remembering that thoughts aren't commands, they are weather, they pass. Isaac survives because he never lets fear dictate his next move. He acknowledges the terror, then moves anyway, and so can you. Rule number 3. Nowhere to go but forward. There comes a point in Dead Space Remake where Isaac is cornered by circumstances so overwhelming that retreat simply isn't an option. If he loses the will to live, he will die in the ship and turn into another necromorph. The mission is falling apart. The truth about Nicole is slipping away, and every hallway behind him is filled with death. Yet he keeps going, not because he feels strong, but because going forward is the only direction left.
Are you afraid, Isaac?
No. There's no going back.
It's easier when there's nowhere to go but forward.
When everything else collapses, the path ahead becomes brutally simple. Later, pushed to his breaking point, he faces down the final boss, the gigantic Leviathan, the hive mind, and yelled.
This is all I got left!
That's the death ground mindset, where the only way out is forward. The mind stops negotiating. It focuses, it commits, it pulls strength out of places you didn't know existed. Isaac doesn't move forward because he's fearless. He moves forward because there's no turning back. There is a moment in every difficult journey, your career, relationships, mental health, personal goals, where you reach a crossroads. One path is tempting, the escape route, the retreat, the maybe later, the I'm not ready, the is too much. The other path is the uncomfortable one, forward. Most people live in the tension between the two, never fully committing in either. But when you reduce your options, when you take the escape route off the table, your mind stops hesitating and starts creating solutions it couldn't see before. Necessity sharpens perception. Forward movement isn't glamorous. It's not a dramatic montage where everything clicks into place. It often feels like limping, like dragging yourself through resistance, like fighting through fog. But that's the point. When forward becomes the only direction, it becomes impossible to stay stuck. The human mind is astonishingly creative under pressure. but only when retreat is no longer an option. When you commit to a goal, not half-heartedly, not if things go well, but fully, you begin to see opportunities, strategies, and strengths that were invisible before. You don't need confidence to move forward. Confidence grows because you moved forward. Isaac is terrified most of the game. He doubts himself. He questions reality. But he keeps walking, and every step builds momentum. In your life, forward may be a tiny action. One email, one video, one workout, one honest conversation, and one step toward growth. What matters is that it points in the direction you want to go. Forward isn't fast. Forward isn't pretty. Forward is simply one step closer to your life's task. And sometimes, that's the bravest thing you can do. Rule number 4. Think like an engineer. Isaac's greatest strength isn't combat. It's clarity of thinking. He sees systems, patterns, and solutions where others only see chaos. When everyone else panics, he evaluates. When others crumble, he troubleshoots.
The Ishimura hammer or the marker?
That artifact they found?
Don't bullshit us. CEC knew all along about the marker, didn't they? Isn't that why you're really here? Corporate wouldn't send the Ishimura for some off-the-books mining. But alien technology, yeah, that fits.
Then how does losing my team fit into this theory?
Hey, knock this shit off. We're into the debris field. We get the idiots back together, or it's over.
When someone insists the ship can't get them home, Isaac looks again, mentally reconstructing the system.
Wait, maybe it can. If the Valor Singularity Core is okay, I could salvage it, install it on that shuttle. We're fucking out of here.
Even when he runs out of ideas, he adjusts with creativity.
The Leviathan has a 10-kiloton mass. Do you really need me to tell you this is a bad idea?
Well, I'm all out of good ideas, so guess what's left?
And when hallucinations whisper,
You'll put things back the way they were and make us whole again.
they speak to his deepest identity. Isaac is someone who fixes things. But thinking like an engineer isn't about machines. It's about approaching fear, chaos, and uncertainty with structure instead of emotion. Most of life's problems feel overwhelming because we treat them as giant, tangled masses of stress. We say, my life is falling apart, when really only 1 or 2 areas need attention. We say everything is going wrong, when in reality, 3 solvable issues are creating a ripple effect. Thinking like an engineer means stepping back from emotion and looking at the situation as a system, not a personal attack, not a catastrophe, just a mechanism that needs adjusting. Imagine approaching your problems the way Isaac approaches a malfunctioning engine. He doesn't assume it's hopeless. He doesn't take it personally. He breaks it down. He identifies what's actually wrong. He looks for the small part causing the big issue, and he tinkers until he gets it right. This mindset destroys anxiety because it transforms overwhelm into small, clear, manageable steps. Instead of drowning in the whole problem, you fix one part, then another, then another. Eventually the system works again. And when things break, and they will, you can treat failure as data instead of judgment. Engineers love malfunctions because each one reveals information. You can do the same. When something in your life falls apart, examine it. Instead of blaming yourself, what caused it? What needs tightening? What skill or system is missing? Where's the small fix that creates the biggest improvement? Life doesn't require you to be emotionless. It requires you to be effective. And effectiveness is born from analysis, calmness, and the repeated willingness to try, adjust, and try again. Isaac survives not because he's the strongest, but because he knows how to repair what's broken, both outside and inside. Rule number 5. Stay alive in the dead space. There's a moment on the Ishimura when the fighting stops, the alarms fall silent, and the only sound left is Isaac's ragged breathing inside the helmet. No necromorphs, no explosions, just empty corridors stretching out like a bad dream. And in that vacuum, something far more dangerous creeps in. The hallucinations whisper his name. Dr. Mercer's video log labeled him like a specimen.
Patient. Isaac. Symptoms: mania, delusion, fire. What was the last strongest? The greed or the guilt?
Isn't the only thing coming apart. Isaac's mind is splintering in the quiet. But here's the strange part. It's in these chilling pockets of silence, these psychological dead spaces, that Isaac finds his edge. When he's pinned between terror and action, something clicks. The engineer in him takes over. He rewires systems. He stabilizes oxygen. He rebuilds what the horror tries to tear down. The chaos outside forces him inward, forces him to choose, lose himself, or use himself.
But there's a dead space in that signal. Around the marker itself. The eye of the storm.
Isaac lives because he learns to navigate the empty space between thoughts, the moments when panic wants to take control. He survives by finding tiny spaces of calm, moments where he stands still, breathes, steadies his hands, and remembers what's real. He focuses on the hum of machinery, the weight of the plasma cutter, the mechanical rhythm of his boots on the metal flooring. This is the real dead space, the silent gap between thoughts, a space that lets him reset, anchor himself, and push back against the overwhelming noise in his mind. He survives not by overpowering his thoughts, but by creating distance from them. One breath, one pause, one grounding moment at a time. Everyone has a version of Isaac's dead space, the mental quiet that isn't really quiet at all. It's the space where overthinking, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, and obsessive loops show up the moment life stops shouting at you. Most people try to drown that space with noise, busyness, or distraction, but Isaac's journey shows the opposite path. Survival is about learning to use that mental vacuum, not fear it. Obsession gets a bad reputation, but in reality, it's just raw mental energy with no target. In the game, when Isaac lets his fear roam freely, it spirals into hallucinations. But when he channels the same intensity into repairing systems, solving impossible engineering problems, or staying hyper-present in a fight, that obsessive energy transforms into clarity and precision. Your mind works the same way. If you don't give it a mission, it will invent one. Isaac teaches you to weaponize that restless mental momentum. Don't just try to quiet your mind. Point it at something constructive. Give your mind something to engineer. Channeling obsession into productive effort doesn't just keep you stable, it makes you dangerous in the best way. You become the kind of person who can build something powerful in the middle of chaos, who can focus under pressure, who can put yourself back together even when everything feels broken. Isaac Clarke's journey through the Ishimura is a descent into terror, trauma, and the unknown. But beneath all the horror lies a blueprint for resilience, a way of navigating chaos with courage, clarity, and determination. He shows us that you don't need to feel ready to learn. You don't need total confidence to move forward. You don't need perfect mental health to stay grounded. You don't need to be fearless to keep going. You just need to trust your capacity to adapt, to face the battles inside your head, to choose forward when backward isn't an option, to think like a problem solver, not a victim, to find calm in the small spaces between thoughts, and to channel obsessive thoughts into creative work. Isaac Clarke is the sole survivor of the Ishimura. You can survive your own darkness too. And when someone says you can't, you'll know what to say back.
Watch me.